Justin Fields just trying to get strength back in that thumb. It is on the throwing hand, but he's got to put some tape down here because the picks, well, they're rolling in, and 2 early ones are going to belong to the Bears. Bears in the fourth quarter here, 3 of their 4 drives ended in a turnover. Not a winning formula. Cole Kmet gets in twice, but it comes in a loss. 24-17, the Saints above 500.
Saints quarterback Taysom Hill, you led the team in rushing today. You threw a touchdown of your own to Juwan Johnson. I could go on and on about your versatility, playing tight end, wide receiver, running back, all of that. But talk about the versatility and potential of this team, the way you guys are executing on offense, especially right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like for the first, quarter of the season, we were so close. And we were just having dumb little mistakes that were killing drives. And I feel like the last few weeks, you've started to see what our offense really is and how good we can be. So as we look in the future, it's just continue to stack this, be consistent, and, we're capable of doing great things.
Your defense had 3 interceptions and 2 forced fumbles. Really, they came up big and gave you guys some great field position. How clutch were they?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been in New Orleans long enough and played with a great defense, so that's the type of stuff that we've grown used to. And, man, I'm glad that it's our defense and we're not scheming to play those guys, but whenever they need a big play, they make it. And that's what we've seen.
Your coach, Dennis Allen, said confidence breeds confidence. You guys came into this matchup tied for the NFC South division lead. On deck, the Vikings. What kind of confidence does a win like this give you all?
Yeah, look, I think we've been so close, but when you start to lose those close games, it's like you start to wonder, like, what is it going to take? And I think once you start winning close games like this and you start stacking some wins, then you just enter a game with the expectation to win. And, you always have that mindset, but when you start to do it, as you talked about, the confidence just continues to build.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Bears hung around in this one, but the streak continues. Longest win streaks against the Bears. 2 active ones going right now against the rival Packers, and 8 straight losses against the Saints. That includes the playoffs. The last time the Bears beat the Saints, Brian Urlacher had double-digit tackles. The man's got a bust in the Hall of Fame.
Your favorite Bear, right?
He's up there for me. There's still a jersey hanging somewhere. There's still a signed football. He was a good man, and he gave us time. The times are not good right now in Chicago. 2-7, the worst 9-game start since 2016. In studio with the Mac Man, Bryant McFadden, here to offer his thoughts on this matchup. I want to go one on each side of this one because we sort of talked within that highlight the Bears and their unwillingness to let go of the rope. I'm not sure what it's indicative of, but it seems like a group that's coming together around maybe shared attrition. I don't know what you make of the Bears right now, but in this football game for almost a full 60 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, for the Bears, going on the road, playing against a team that you kind of felt like they were a bit desperate in the New Orleans Saints, and knowing how opportunistic the defense has been, especially at home. If you're a Bears fan, you was almost like you were getting in a boat and it had holes in it. Eventually, you were going to sink. You know what I mean? It was just a matter of time. And that's what we saw offensively from the Chicago Bears. There were highs and lows. Tyson did a pretty good job, but the lack of experience showed up, especially playing under those lights there in New Orleans. But I'll say this, Joe, the one bright spot for the Bears, the 2 bright spots. Cole Kmet is looking like a #1 tight end, especially in the red zone. And defensively, yes, they surrendered 24 points, but they kept their team within reach of winning this ball game all the way down to the final possession, to say the least. They were down 1 score. So their defense, and we saw some good things coming from Montez Sweat. He was getting to the pocket. He was putting pressure on the quarterback. And, Joe, as you know, being a Chicago Bears fan, you guys have been looking for a dominant pass rusher. You just traded for him. You gave up a 2. You gave up a 2nd-round pick for Sweat, and you paid him $90+ million. So hopefully he can be the guy, can be your ultimate dominant pass rusher. And for him just getting to Chicago, he did do some pretty good things.
All right, let's get past the moral victories and get to the actual victory, what belonged to the Saints in this one, 24-17. I'm just looking at the schedule coming up here. Vikings, Falcons, winnable, backup quarterbacks. Lions, going to be a tough one. Panthers, Giants, Rams, Bucks, Falcons again. The road ahead for the Saints, I mean, anybody would welcome that schedule right now.
There's no guarantee, but I'm right there. That's why today's matchup was so important for the New Orleans Saints. You're playing against a quarterback who was making his 2nd start We saw how bad he looked last week against the Chargers. One would think you wanted to repeat the same issues for Tyson, and the Saints were able to do that. Then also, too, for the Saints, Joe, you talk about a team that was in a similar position in their division in the Atlanta Falcons with the uncertainty at the quarterback position for their team they were playing against. They didn't take care of their business. So that's why today's matchup was so important, because, number one, you don't oftentimes get a chance to have a home game against a quarterback with his only one start under his belt. Number two, you talk about an offense that has been spiraling in the wrong direction the entire year. You also had that to your luxury. So it was imperative for the Saints to find a way to win, because you know how difficult it is in the National Football League week in and week out. When you get something that it seems extremely good for your liking, you got to find a way to win. Atlanta didn't do so. The Saints did. And guess what else? The Buccaneers lost as well. So if you're the Saints, you're feeling pretty good about taking care of the business that you're supposed to take care of, because some other weeks moving forward, it might be a little more difficult.
Yeah, could be the difference in what is a very winnable division, a team rounding into form here in the Saints, a favorable schedule moving ahead, a little bit more Taysom Hill. Vibes are high down there in the land of voodoo.